I the a-hole for insulting my sister after she announced her pregnancy at Christmas? Happy holidays all! Here's hoping yours turned out better than mine. I, 24 female, am the youngest of 4, and have never been particularly close to my eldest sister Jenny, 37 female. She started dating her now ex-husband Sam, 38 male, when they were in high school, so he's pretty much been around my entire life. Sam's a really great guy. He was an older brother to me growing up, and my other sisters and I all have a great relationship with him. Jenny and Sam have 2 kids together, my nephew and niece who are 8 and 5. About 3 years ago, Jenny and Sam's relationship completely fell apart, and she left him and moved to a different city. I've heard both sides of the story, and I know I'm inherently biased against my sister because she left my ex-brother-in-law to raise 2 kids by himself. Things were pretty rough after she left, but we all pitched in and did our best to help with the kids. My sister and Sam eventually finalized their divorce and she gave up custody of the kids, and has very low contact with them. I know Sam blamed himself for her leaving because she had accused him of not loving her as much as he loved the kids, but the rest of my family were firmly on his side. He did eventually move on, and started dating one of his close friends at the beginning of this year. Fast forward 2 months ago, my sister moved back to our city with a new boyfriend. She's only been to see her kids once, supervised, and my niece almost didn't recognize her. My parents still wanted the opportunity to finally have Christmas as a complete family again. I thought the whole thing would be a disaster before it even began. I knew my ex-brother-in-law only planned to stay long enough to drop off the kids and say a quick hello to everyone else. In the 15-minute window he was at my parents' house, my sister announced that she was pregnant, and things went downhill after that. The kids were so confused, and my niece asked if the new baby would live with them. My sister laughed and said the baby would live with her and her boyfriend. My ex-brother-in-law left with the kids in tow, and I kind of lost it. I yelled at my sister and called her selfish and cruel, and a whole slew of insults. Anything I could come up with in the moments before storming out myself. My other sister supports my actions, but my parents are disappointed that I reacted that way and made a scene during Christmas. They're not demanding that I apologize or anything, but have me put on one heck of a guilt trip and want me to resolve things with my sister. I'm perfectly happy not being in contact with her given what she's put my niece and nephew through. But I do wonder if I reacted too harshly. Was I an a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Your sister turned Christmas into a way to dunk on her ex and her own kids. The kids were so confused and my niece asked if the new baby would live with them. My sister laughed and said the baby would live with her and her boyfriend. This is the worst part. She told her own kids that their half-sibling wouldn't be staying with them and then laughed at them. She's cruel and heartless. Definitely not a-hole. Seriously, how terrible of a person do you have to be to rub it in your own young children's faces that this new baby's wanted and they aren't? My heart breaks for those poor kids. OP not a-hole. The fact that her children automatically assumed that the baby would stay with them, as though it's normal for mom to have kids and leave them. My heart truly hurts for them. Not a-hole. She was cruel to her kids for literally no reason. Watch her in 25 years ranting about none of my kids care about me, and playing victim when she obviously couldn't care less about them now that they need a mom. Not sure if she was intentionally trying to hurt the kids because I don't think she ever properly loved them, and doesn't even realize how much of an issue that is. She was definitely trying to rub it in my ex-brother-in-law's face, and didn't care about them being collateral damage. I don't know which is worse, to be honest. I obviously haven't spoken to her since Christmas Eve, but I'll be visiting the kids later today. I just hope they'll get through this and know that none of this is their fault. I'm sorry to say that level of carelessness that despite she has for her ex, to the point of hurting her own children, makes it better that she maintains no contact with them. It would probably be better for your brother-in-law to maintain full custody. You'd even go back to court to make sure she doesn't have access to them. Her behavior is cruel and damaging. It's unfortunate she doesn't take care of the 2 she has, and decides to bring more children into this world. Next story. Am I the a-hole for hiding from my mother-in-law and pretending not to be home? I, 32 female, had a baby 8 weeks ago, and since then my mother-in-law has had a habit of popping by without calling first. I have anxiety at the best of times, but it's a bit worse right now, and when she comes over, particularly when my husband is at work and not there to mediate, I find her constant stream of advice and thinly veiled criticism, like looking intently at the floor while saying, "You must not have a vacuum cleaner," I'll bring one next time I'm over. To be just too much to handle. Both my husband and I have asked that she call before coming over, but she brushes it off, saying that family shouldn't have to call. Last week I was having a rough day and was tired as the baby had been up in the night more than usual. I looked out the bedroom window to see my mother-in-law walking through the front gate, and I honestly wanted to cry. I'm not proud of it, but I sat on the floor of the bedroom ignoring the doorbell until she went away. I felt really bad after her, because she doesn't drive and I knew it would have taken her a 20-minute bus ride to get to our house, just to have turn around and go back. Apparently, she called my husband at work to let him know that she'd tried to visit me, because he called home to see if everything was okay. And I told him she must have come while I was out with the baby for a walk, because I didn't want to admit that I had hidden from his mother. That evening when he got home, he noticed that the baby's stroller was in the corner with a diaper bag in it, as he'd left it the previous day, so I figured out I hadn't taken the baby for a walk after all. I admitted that I hadn't answered the door for his mom even though I was home, and he said that he knows she can be difficult, but that it was still an a-hole move to make her spend 40 minutes in transit to not even see me or her grandchild. He brought it up a couple of times over the holidays. Just to me, he didn't tell her. And now I feel like maybe I did something really awful. Not an a-hole. She has to call before coming. The fact that she sat in the bus for 40 minutes without seeing her grandchild is her own problem. Yes, mother-in-law brought it on herself by not informing an upcoming visit. Too bad. Not an a-hole. It's extremely rude to keep stopping by without asking. You should come to her house at a very bad time for her, like very early morning or while she is busy, and say that family shouldn't have to call to come over. Does your husband help with the baby at night? Thank you. He does sometimes, but we agreed that since I'm on maternity leave, I'm in Canada so I get a year off, and he's still working, I will handle the majority of the wake-ups. When we had a really bad week, the baby had colic. He handled the wake-ups until midnight so I could get a few hours of sleep. Please think about changing this. You need sleep to be a great mom, and so maybe once or twice a week if you can handle wake-ups, it will give you back some sanity. Also, not stay home. Mother-in-law is being a judgmental pain, and it's the last thing you need right now. Your husband's got to back you up on this one. Call before you come and make sure we are okay with you coming over. If you don't, you will be turned away. Your presence is not good for mom and baby, especially when you're critical. When you do come, you have to cut that crap out. And if you can't, then better you not come. Not stay home. And I would tell your husband you will do that each and every time she comes by without calling and getting your expressed permission going forward. It's completely unacceptable for her to show up at anyone's house without calling and confirming they're okay with it, especially that of a new mother. Beyond that, I would maybe start responding to her passive-aggressive comments bluntly. In your example, I would say, "Great, then when you bring a vacuum, you can vacuum next time I agree for you to come over. That's such a great gift, mother-in-law, for you to willingly vacuum our home." Alternatively, you can say, "I would appreciate no comments about the state of my house, especially when I did not agree to you coming over." Overall, get your husband to be aware you will do this going forward, and he should let his mother know that this is the course of action that you both will be doing. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for agreeing to have my family visit for a week after my wife gives birth?" My wife 23 and I 27 are expecting. She's due this month, and things have been a bit intense recently with her being extra hormonal. We live in a different state than my family, so my wife and I couldn't visit for Christmas. My parents were calling to continue complaining about us not spending Christmas with them, and demanded I make it up for them. I said I was open for any suggestions they had, and they suggested they come stay with us for a week once the baby is born. That way they could spend time with us and the baby as well. I thought, why not? That seemed to be a pretty good suggestion, since it's been months since we've seen each other, so I told them to go ahead and made the invitation official. This morning, my wife was talking about her plans once the baby's here, and that's when I remembered my conversation with my parents. I immediately told her that I agreed to let them over for a week once the baby is born, to make up for the holidays we missed with them. She first looked shocked, then freaked out at me saying I shouldn't have invited them just like that without talking to her first. I asked why not, since she loves them and loves being around them. But she explained that my family can be a lot of work, and having them as guests while caretaking for a newborn is the last thing she wanted. I told her it was no big deal, besides that we could use help if she thought about this way, but she lashed out on me about how the first few days of the baby's life is essential time for bonding and being intimate, and I just took that away from her by inviting my parents and invading her space. I argued that she was being melodramatic right then, because my family are decent people, and I'm pretty sure they'll make this experience a lot more warmer. But she still disagreed, and said if my family were decent, then they wouldn't have accepted my invitation. I clarified to her that I did not invite them, and this was in fact a suggestion made by them, and I just agreed after they complained about me missing spending the holidays with them. She went off on me demanding I call them and cancel everything I planned with them, but I thought that was unacceptable since she did not give a good enough reason for me to do that. And besides, my parents can help, but she still denied that being true. She's gone radio silence for the rest of the day and is acting like my family are somehow making her uncomfortable, though they're not the judgmental or intrusive type, and are just about spending time with each other. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Until you push a human out of your body and suffer the physical consequences of it, you absolutely do not get to say that it is no big deal and not good enough reason. Your wife will have just pushed a fair-sized melon out of her body. There is a good chance she will have been torn or cut. There is a good chance she won't be able to sit down. She will potentially be in a diaper and have walnut-sized clots of blood coming out of her body. There is a chance that the bathroom will not be guest-ready after she has been in there because it will look like an abattoir. Are you cleaning up every time she goes in there? Her milk will come in on about day 5, which is often extremely painful and causes a huge hormonal surge and causes the milk blues. Her nipples will not yet have hardened up and might crack and bleed. Your baby may be an angel, but then again it may not. Your wife might be feeding very, very frequently, meaning she won't sleep, she will be exhausted, look like crap, and cry a lot. You think none of this is a good reason to not want to host guests? In short, the only people who should be staying with you are people who have seen her naked and could actually help her in the bathroom like her mother, sister, or husband. This is all if the birth is normal, straightforward delivery. A friend gave birth, tore so much she needed surgery twice, and wasn't fit for visitors for at least a month. And that was just people going for an hour, let alone living in the house. You are the biggest a-hole I've ever seen. You're the a-hole. So instead of having the week after giving birth to begin healing, bonding, time with her little family of 3, you have made it so your wife has to host and put up with having guests? Do you have any idea how much pain she's going to be in? Not to mention the 2 of you learning to be parents. Plus, well done in showing to your wife that at her most vulnerable, you will not be putting her first. Hold on. Edit. Few things so there's no misunderstanding here, alright? First of all, my wife doesn't normally have an issue with my family being around. They all get along pretty good. And second of all, which is an important info, my wife and I talked about having her directly speak to them about why she should rather postpone their visit so we could clear the air. But she refused and said she doesn't want to ruin her relationship with them. It asked me to do it. Tell them not to come. But since my family are upset with me, then me telling them not to come might be taken in an offensive way. So it really feels like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Also, to all the people saying that my wife shouldn't be hosting guests, I don't recall mentioning this nor expecting her to do anything for the family. Matter of fact, I really thought we could maybe use their help, especially my mom. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling grandmother-in-law if she was a better mom? Her daughter wouldn't be having an allergic reaction, and it isn't my fault at all. I wanted to host Christmas this year, but someone else already had dibs, so I settled for a small Christmas morning brunch. I invited both sides of the family. I made orange rolls, cinnamon rolls, hash brown casserole, and eggs. Mother-in-law is allergic to orange, but I didn't anticipate a problem because she's obviously an adult who can just not eat the orange rolls. I did warn her that the ones on the left were orange. Now for some background, grandmother-in-law and grandfather-in-law messed up their kids so bad. Literally all of mother-in-law's siblings have issues. Mother-in-law is by far the most normal. She has a huge victim complex and some emotional issues, but she has a job and no criminal record, so she's doing better than her siblings. I can't even put into words how bad parenting was. The kids were so spoiled, and then there was no discipline. The mom gave the girls eating disorders. Mother-in-law's sister really bullied her growing up. Grandfather-in-law let his crazy mom come around and spew racist crap. There was zero accountability. For example, mother-in-law drove a car into their house when she was 19 because she had been drinking, and they were just like, meh, and bought her a new car. So on Christmas Day, mother-in-law's sister decided to rub orange frosting on her arm as a prank. It gave her a rash. Mother-in-law immediately began moaning about how we all hate her and bringing up drama from years ago. Mother-in-law's boyfriend was the only one with enough sense to wash mother-in-law's arm. Grandfather-in-law did tell his 40-something-year-old daughter that she shouldn't have done that, but that was it. And mother-in-law was more concerned with bringing up random examples of our perceived hatred. Also, I know it is dangerous and a non-severe allergy can turn severe, but it was just a rash and mother-in-law was okay. Grandmother-in-law cornered me in the kitchen and said I was irresponsible for serving orange rolls when I know her daughter is allergic. She said I should have thought more about the family that I failed as a hostess. I was just sick of all of them and told her that she failed as a mother, and her middle-aged daughter shouldn't be using an allergen to prank someone. I said she's the reason her kids all have such severe issues. She's the reason the family's a mess, and I won't take any responsibility for serving orange. Grandmother-in-law cried and ended up leaving early, and 2 of mother-in-law's siblings left and refused to speak to me. Why do you want these people in your life? Honestly, I'm not even going to make a judgment here. I just want to know if Opie is even happy. Everyone sucks here. Obviously, the prank was horrendous, and the sister is a massive a-hole for it. You're an a-hole though, because orange is such an easily avoidable allergen. Why would you have it at a meal that excludes someone? Sure, something more common could be harder to avoid, like dairy. But orange? You didn't need to include it. There were plenty of alternatives, and orange is a common Christmas flavor. You even decorate trees with them in some countries. As someone with food intolerances, I find it annoying when people twist themselves into knots to avoid serving anything I can't have, instead of just providing me an alternative and trusting me as an adult to feed myself correctly.